Okay. There we are. Now, let's get to it. I've added music this time. So, we'll go from there. We'll go with that. All right, here we go. For the last 16 minutes of Sam Hyde commentary.
I got lucky. There's no shortage of nerds who got lucky. There's this disturbing idea from the BoomerCon right that America is just a collection of ideas, and you bring everybody in the world, the teeming masses who are desperate for a half gallon of milk, you bring them here and all of a sudden they're hit like lightning with this idea that makes them able to make this country stronger.
Right.
This country's never been weaker, and it's never been more...
Right. This is the thing. I don't know if, like, you don't make people more inspired or happier, or if that's your goal. If it's not your goal, then yeah, you can continue doing what you're doing, but you don't make people happier by dividing up the few resources that we do have among more and more people. We don't have the amount of resources to do that, to take care of all those people. We don't have all of that right now. Now, will we ever? Possible. Yeah, we might. In an amount of time where we get ourselves together and we start evaluating what we are and how we want to help. But right now, what we're doing is self-destruction out of altruism. And altruism, although good, can definitely drown you if you're not careful. If you don't know what you're doing, and we don't know what we're doing. Or it seems like the people in charge don't know what they're doing. They're just allowing this constant barrage of people to come in, and we don't have any time to catch up societally, culturally, economically. And you can have immigration. Immigration is fine. But you can't have it when the people that have already immigrated here previous to the new immigrants still don't have the basic necessities of society, culture, honesty, all those things that make up culture and a functioning society. If they don't have those things, what makes you think the next wave of immigrants is going to bring them in any faster? I mean, that's crazy. And it's not all just about economy, and it's not all just about numbers, and it's not all just about bringing as many people as humanly possible here to take all the resources that are available and divvy them up. You won't solve any problems. If you're trying to make things worse, and I think a lot of people look at anti-immigration people as like racist or something. And maybe some of them are, but there's a good amount of people that understand that you need time to catch up. If you want to help others, you have to be able to help yourself. You have to. They tell you put your mask on when the plane's going down, the oxygen mask on yourself before you help others. Why? Because you're going to pass out by the time that you put that mask on the other person, and they might not be able to put that mask on you. And you're going to be dead because you won't have any oxygen. So what you got to do is you got to help yourself. It doesn't seem intuitive. It doesn't make sense, right? But if you don't help yourself, you become expendable. And no one wants to be expendable. You have to help yourself first. We're not saying never help anyone else ever. I think what a lot of people who criticize the right are saying is that's where our position is, but that's a gross generalization and a straw man, I would say. I think a lot of people on the right want to help others, but we can't do it through endless waves of immigration. It's just not possible. And if you go and look at, was it the Gumball, by the numbers video on YouTube, it is so insightful. It's so intuitive. It's great because you can take all the people and help them here, but you'll still have all of those places where generated all that poor and all of that non-Western society, and it's still, you're never going to catch up. You're never going to catch up. So the best way to do it is to inspire yourself, to inspire your own nation, build that up, and then inspire others. That's the only way it's possible. Any other way is self-destruction and suicide. And I won't stand for it. Next.
Open to foreigners who aren't us. These two things, they're not unrelated. They're directly related. Would Ben Shapiro say the same thing about Israel? Israel's just a collection of ideas. Would Vivek say the same thing about India? India is just a collection of ideas, really good ideas. That's why they're doing so good. Rope women on the train. That's not a glib remark, by the way. I make a lot of jokes about Indians in my stand-up act. I had an Indian woman come up to me after a show. I thought she was going to chew me out and beat my ass, ear-beating Indian style, for the jokes that I made. She said to me, "Thank you for saying that. I went there with my 13-year-old sister, and they pulled her pants down on the train." Is that an Indian idea? When we bring them over, or does that idea suddenly vanish and they get the neural?
That's what I was saying, and I think another one of the videos I made is that no, it's not acceptable, and they don't just forget those things. They don't just, it doesn't just click out of them. It's not gone the moment they sign the citizenship papers. There's all those things are still there. The ones that truly want to be here and follow the Constitution and be as American as apple pie, yeah, maybe there's some of them that can just forget all of that, but you are increasing the quantity of people that come in, so you're increasing the probability that not all of them are going to be as American as apple pie. Do you understand? Do you get it? Like, you can't bring everyone, because in the same way where we tried to export democracy around the world, like in Iraq and all those other places, some might be receptive to the idea of democracy in their own nation, sure, but a majority of them are just not going to. The inverse is also true for the people that would want to come here. They more than likely want to bring their own ideas, cultures, and everything else there with them, rather than actually assimilate or immigrate to become a part of the system, and they just want to carve out a section for themselves and their families, but not actually become as American, quote unquote, as possible. And it's just, you can't expect that. You can't expect that that's going to be possible. Whether you're exporting your values and you want everyone in those places to accept them, or you want to import people to accept the values that you have at home. You can't expect 100% of the people every single time to totally be on board with every single value that you have. And the more people that you have to deal with when it comes to that, the less likely it is that all those ideas are going to take root in their heads. And you can't expect every single person to just glom onto it and just say, I'm an American, apple pie, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, I'm on board, baby. It's just not possible, just not likely. So if you're going to talk about numbers and quantifying and probability, there's some probability and quantification for you, Elon. Next.
Neural net download of American ideas, is that how it works? The people who are mad at you right now don't view America as a collection of ideas. It's not an economic zone.
Right.
I hate how there's this argument against Americans asking them what they built. If you're so great, what did you build? What did you build? Nothing significant.
Yeah, nothing significant. I mean, a life, a home, a family. Would you call those insignificant? Most people wouldn't. Children, a small business, have a car, get to eat 3 square meals a day. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? With those people that want to live that way, that want to have those things that our forefathers had, that our parents had. There's nothing wrong with not achieving every single thing in life all at once and being a billionaire like Elon Musk. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone can be Elon Musk, because that's why there's only one Elon Musk. That's why there's only one George Washington. That's why there's only one Elvis Presley. That's why there's only one Donald Trump. It doesn't come from everyone. Everyone has their unique, special talents and abilities to make things as they are in their place and time. And I think we already talked about this in the previous video, but you can't, expect that is going to be totally the case as far as making every single person an achiever of every single possible everything. We don't have the technology, resources, or time to do that right now. Maybe someday we will, if we believe in our own people and we believe in our own ability. But we are starting from a baseline of this is not okay. We need to be okay before we can even consider making ourselves in that way. And you are just not thinking of that possibility. So
that gets built on an individualistic scale. The greatest things that humans have built, cathedrals, which if you disagree with this, it's just, you're wrong. I mean, computers are pretty up there, but cathedrals are a good example of this. Cathedrals are a good example. Cathedrals are a great example. They are, things that take a long amount of time to have constructed and built. And it's the first generation that starts a cathedral fairly rarely gets to see the completion of the cathedral. If you think of Notre Dame, which shame it was burned down, but luckily it was rebuilt. Generations and generations it took for that to finally reach its completion. And the best things in life are built for the next generation. Let me say that again. The best things in life are built for the next generation. Not for your generation, but for the next generation. You hear that, boomers? Hear that, Elon Musk? Hear that, build yourself up by your bootstraps, conservatives? You hear that? You understand that? You've lost sight of that. You've lost sight of the fact that you need to be investing, not just in yourselves, not just in your 401ks, not just in your personal bank accounts, but in the future. Oh, you might say that's socialism or something like that, but that's society. If you are so personally invested in yourself to the point where you don't want to contribute to the future that you won't even see, you won't even have anything to do with, you'll be long gone, centuries removed from any possible part of you having been in that new system. Then you don't deserve the society that you have. You don't deserve the society that has given you all of the things that have allowed you to live a life as comfortable as you have. You don't. And you should examine that. You should look at yourself and you should say, have I invested? Have I given my next future generations? Have I put enough forward to where the same standard of living that I expected, that I grew up with, is going to be the same standard that they get to have? Is that going to be possible? And if it's not, did I
do as much as possible to make that happen? Did I take that step? Did I call that person? Did I give that money? Did I do all of this? Because otherwise, you're asking for the collapse of society. Society doesn't exist for existing for the people in it today. That's not society. Society exists for the future, for the people that will live long after you. And that concludes building cathedrals and making inventions and innovating and doing things that were not previously thought possible, because you want the next people that come on this earth to be blessed with a better life than you have ever had. Otherwise, you're just selfish. You're just selfish. And you've wasted the gift of humanity. You've wasted it. You've thrown it away for the brief moment on Earth that you get to live, because that's, and again, that goes back to nihilism. That goes back to, like, what's the point? Why even bother? That's why these boomers live by this kind of a nihilistic kind of thing where they don't want to invest in the future, because what's the point? Why bother? We're living for today. Who cares? I got mine. You don't get yours. You got to pull yourself out of your bootstraps. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, my point is, you got to invest in the future. Investment is a necessity. That goes for companies, corporations, families. You have to invest for things that are not necessarily going to be something that you're going to see. And you have to think beyond seeing for society to exist. That's what the forefathers thought. That's what they fought for. They fought for a system that would exist long after they were gone. Anyway, I'm getting caught up, but that's the point. Moving on.
Built over hundreds of years. They're
Hold on
built
a second.
not
Fought for a system that would exist long after.
just by the army of stonemasons who build them, but by the towns who pay for it.
Right.
They are the...
It's a societal endeavor. It is a societal endeavor. Do you think they could build as many cathedrals as they did in Europe if they had imported Muslim slave labor? Would that have been better for them to have built cathedrals? Would that have been easier? Would that have made the process easier for the cathedrals to be built? Yeah, sure. Hell yeah. Why not? We could take them. We have the superior technology and the superior weapons. It's about not what we can. It's about what should we do, not what we can do. In this instance, it's about what should we do? What good is there in doing that? What does that bring society? If you are using slave labor, if you're using labor that is compelled to be there at the point of a gun or the point of a stick or out of the signing of a green card, then your compulsion is not society. Compulsion is not society. Again, force is not society. Law is not society. It's a portion of it, but it is not the entire thing. Incentivization of bringing people here at the point of a gun or the point of a barrel or a point of a pen, in this instance, does not build society. In fact, you incentivize them to bring their own societies with them, because no one reacts to force in a way that is amicable towards the forcer, to the enforcer. At the first sign of possibility where they could get out from under the enforcer's thumb, they will strike back. And why wouldn't they? If you hold a gun to my head 24/7 and you give me the opportunity when you turn your back for 1 minute at the end of that 24/7 period, I'm going to take it and point it right back at you. Why wouldn't I? That's what you've been doing the whole time. You've shown me no investment in my own ability to help you, or you've tried, what's the saying? You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. right? And we're operating on a vinegar-based society, to put it in a pretty blunt way. Anyway, moving on.
Cream sitting on top of the cake. The cake is the soil. The cake is the vinyl siding dumbasses who are your customers, who are the people who pay for this shit by putting their retirement accounts in Vanguard mutual funds. They're the people who you owe a debt to.
Exactly.
A debt for being able to do the stuff that you do.
Yes.
These H1B tech workers that are coming in, so many of them are just managing apps that other people built. They're maintaining code bases for stuff that was built years ago.
Maintenance. Society is not built on maintenance. Society is built on endeavoring for the future, on innovation. Maintenance, no, does not society build. You can, sure, pay slave wages, and that'll get your company by for a little bit. But no one's going to be inspired to do a damn thing for you. No one's going to be inspired to do anything for society. No one's going to be inspired to have a family. No one's going to be inspired to live. When you set out to create slaves, then you can't expect that society is going to exist. When you set out for the lowest common denominator, you can't expect that people are going to want to contribute to being the lowest common denominator society. You have to give them something more. You have to promise them something more. Otherwise, you're facilitating the road to slavery, the road to serfdom. Moving on.
Go. What are they making? Social media apps that collect all your data? They're making to-do apps, dating apps. Who fucking cares, man?
Yeah.
What did they build? Mobile phone games? It's just stuff that feeds more into consumerism. It's not actually making life better for anybody.
And that's also true.
The sentiment that...
That's also true. You're using people to make things that are life-sucking things that you've convinced people that they need because everyone else has them, because that's what they need. You're putting society into a lowest common denominator, and you won't have a society that functions that way.
Americans aren't good enough. That's one of the darker things.
Yeah, it is very dark.
Has happened here. I know that Vivek Ramaswamy does believe it to be the case, and for him, this Twitter bomb was a mask-off moment in a way that I hope it was.
I hope that's not true, but maybe it was. If that's the case, it's too bad. That's really terrible. For Elon, I don't know. I still want to hold hope that that's not the way that they view Americans. And I hope that's not the case, because we have people here that are ready to step up. They are ready to do the job that needs to be done and to do what's necessary. But, it's not that that we don't have the talent. It's just that we don't have the investment. We don't have the people that want to invest. We don't have the people that wanted to take a chance on the American people, because we've set up the system to be like, we want DEI. We want to hire from abroad. Because that's the system. We have to get rid of that first and foremost before we count out the American people. And it's one thing Americans hate. It's being counted out. We are the biggest underdogs in human history. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. Underdogs don't come from other countries. They come from America. And if you like an underdog, you damn well better love America, because we're the biggest ones, bar none. And if you don't believe in underdog superiority, I guess as it would be, I don't know how you come to the conclusion of considering yourself to be an American, because that is one of the principles I think that comes with being American, is rooting for the underdog, rooting for the one who has been counted out, rooting for the one who just was probably not going to make it. And this, I talked about this in my other video. Americans defy the odds. That's what we do. That's what America is. We defy the odds. We believe in ourselves. We're the underdogs. You want to talk about American culture? You want to tell me there's no fucking American culture? There you fucking go. There you fucking go. All right? Don't you tell me we don't have any fucking culture. Fuck you.
Wasn't for you. But that sentiment and the Twitter deboosting, algorithm change, blanket ban, all that stuff, those are the darker things in the sense of not good for humanity, not good for the future. Running Twitter the same way your enemies did.
Definitely agree.
Before you bought it from them. Is that what you wanted when you bought this thing? Is that the let it sink in moment? Is that what you envisioned for the global meeting grounds? And we're not talking about just making the 10% of people on the left and the 10% of people on the right mad. The middle is the Overton window. You're just talking about satisfying the Overton window. This is censorship.
Yeah.
You're engaging in censorship pretty much right off the rip here. You just bought Twitter. You just got in with Trump. You just became a Republican.
You just moved to the movement. You just became into the movement.
That's a pretty big betrayal of the role that you have stepped in to fill, whether or not it's even true, okay? I couldn't work at SpaceX. I don't have a delusion about that. It doesn't matter because
I actually applied to work at SpaceX just for laughs, just to be like a secretary, like a front desk kind of person. And I sent a cover letter saying, yeah, I love the idea of American invention and innovation and going to the moon and going to Mars and all of that kind of stuff. And of course, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. It was never a possibility in the first place. But I think Americans should still root for that kind of thing. We should still root for innovation and that thing. But if you're gonna reject people for having enthusiasm, if you're just not gonna give them the chance, because that's all you can see is a resume. You know how a lot of people made it back then? Someone took a chance on them. They decided to be a mentor because they knew that the next generation needed to be mentored. And they wanted to be mentored, and they were available. That's how it works. It's not just data on a sheet, man. I don't know how many times I have to repeat this. I've said it a lot, but a lot of America comes down to this. A lot of America comes down to the fact that we are heavily invested in this scientific reductionist quantification of everything. And that's only one part of it. And if you don't believe in the human spirit, then people that fought in World War II, they're heroes, and World War I. I mean, what do they do? What was their point? What was the point of any of that? If they looked at the numbers, they would have said they made too many tanks. They made, superior, all this and that and the other. And they wouldn't have even bothered. It's just the self-defeated attitude of just not even trying, not even giving a chance, not even giving a chance to the American people. And I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. All we want is a chance. Give us the chance to prove ourselves, and we will. But if you're so convinced that we have nothing to offer you, nothing to offer your precious little company, then you can't be a leader, and you don't deserve to be.
Because you are in charge of American companies, you are an American leader. So what matters is that's the sentiment people are walking away with after your tweet storm. It's not helped by these Patrick Bet-David, wolf in sheep's clothing, cocksucker podcaster guys who are just up your ass because they have money. The extent to which you deserve to be a king, more importantly, or equally importantly,
Yeah.
how posterity will look upon your works
Posterity.
is directly related to your attitude.
Should we look up what the word posterity means? Perhaps we should. Perhaps that would be an important exercise in understanding what exactly it is that we're kind of looking at here. So let me just do that. Just for fun. Here we go. Can everyone see that? I think we can. Posterity. Yeah. All future generations of people. Wow. Imagine that. People from the future that are going to look at you and judge you and see what you've done and say, wow, that was a great man. Or, wow, that man was terrible. Or, wow, he made some really cool stuff. Or, oh my God, that man was awful. He led to the destruction of his own people. You have to have some investment in this. Future generations of people. You have to, if you want to lead. You have to be invested in posterity. Otherwise, there's just no point. Just no point. All right, back to the video.
Your benevolence towards the American people. The Cybertruck's cool, but if America crumbles, it's because we've taken on too many outsiders who don't give a shit about the country.
Yeah.
Then the Cybertruck will be a footnote in a Wikipedia. It'll be the DeLorean.
Right.
It'll be something interesting. People look back, oh, that was kind of cool. You know why they won't be driving it? Because they'll be driving a Neo, and China will be the first to Mars. This isn't fixed by moving the goalposts.
Exactly. And yeah, you can have as many Cybertrucks as you want, but if no one believes in the Cybertrucks, no one wants to push your idea forward because you're being a dumbass. No one wants to buy your stuff because you've revealed yourself to be anti-human. Imagine that. And they'll buy the Neon because that's the cheapest thing available, because that's the system that you wanted. That's the thing that you wanted. Don't you want more people to be able to buy Cybertrucks? Isn't that what you want? Don't you want more people to be able to buy Teslas and drive them around? Don't you want to be able to help people create the infrastructure to make all that possible? Well, that's not going to be possible if you want America to look like India, which has... How many Cybertrucks have you sold in India, by the way? How many Teslas have you sold in India? I'd love to know, because I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's a hell of a lot less than what you've sold in the United States.
Of what an American is. It would be a lot easier if an American was just an Indian with an Ivy League degree. It would make this whole problem go away instantly if that worked. If you could just wave your hand and say that an American is a Guatemalan who was born here, that's an American. We wouldn't have to have this painful conversation. It would be so easy if you could do that, if it were a computer simulation. That's Marvel movie shit. An American is whoever Doctor Strange brings through the portal to beat Thanos. The new Spider-Man is an American. It's a lesbian from Sri Lanka who just came here to start up a cupcake business. But she listens to Cold Wave. And she just came here to start up her hair dye business. She's an American. She's here for the American dream. That's not reality. That's math. That's Marxism. That's computer programmer simulation.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
We all know what an American is. And all these paragraph-long definitions and high-minded ideas, it's just propaganda. We know what an American is. And if you're not here to help the American people, then your usefulness to us is over with. The right wing, Republicans, conservatives.
I would agree. I would agree. You know, I mean, I gave you the values. Faith, being an underdog. I forget the other one was. Taking a chance. I might have repeated that, but I said it earlier in the video. But those three, I mean, are important. Believing in freedom, believing in not censorship would be one. Yeah, I mean, you have to have respect for the people that have made your dream a possibility. You just can't lead otherwise.
Etc. They are trolls and memers and shit posters, and they have acerbic ideas, and they're also the most forgiving people.
Yep.
They're the most forgiving people.
Yep.
Anytime anybody does anything remotely based, they are absorbed by the right. Anna Kasparian talking about not feeling safe in her neighborhood. That's based, man.
It's true.
Anna Kasparian was red-pilled this whole time. I can't believe it. Damn. People, broadly speaking, do not expect you to be full-on 1950s racist Hank Hill,
nope.
Get him out guy. Get him out of here! That's not what they're looking for, okay? They're fine with the Silicon Valley tech version of the occasionally based, occasionally Neil deGrasse Tyson soy face. They love that Elon.
Yeah.
It's this idea that Americans aren't good enough, this misunderstanding of what America is.
Yeah.
You're just as bad as the people you bought the website from,
yeah.
if this continues to be the case.
Right.
Are you?
Yeah, and you will be, and you'll be considered, and people will leave for alternative platforms because that's what you're doing. You are revealing yourself to be just maybe just one or two steps above what the previous owners were. And if that's the way you're going to go, just because you get a ratio, then we'll find free speech somewhere else, man. That's what America does.
Able to listen to valid criticism. It's not from Russian bots. It's not a coordinated attack on you. It's tens of thousands of people pissed off because they think you betrayed them. I hope to God you're a leader. And the rest of you can keep watching this right now. Check it out. asmongold.com/
Asmongold.
What's the guy's name? Moist Critical.
Asmongold.
asmongold.com/ Moist Critical. You can now, if you're not Elon, you can jump over to the regular video and start watching.
Yeah.
What I actually believe, I think that the U.S. economy is grinding to a halt.
It is.
And that the tech bros and investors, it's like someone tweeted about this, the bubble in the Japanese economy,
yeah.
where Japan was faced with the decision to either start importing people or get ready for a long winter. I saw that tweet and that immediately rang true. I think that these investor bros are counting on AI to offset the loss in productivity of this dying empire. It's slowly being realized that AI is, for all intents and purposes, a glorified spell checker. I use AI all the time. I'm a pro subscriber to ChatGPT and Perplexity.ai. I have Perplexity AI as my default search engine, and it's about as good as searching forum posts was 20 years ago.
That's not
it's
bad.
It's not some revolutionary thing. It's extra dimensional autocomplete. The words have weighting and tone and various other...
But AI can't run an economy, and AI can't build a country, and AI can't build a society. I'd love to see you try. I'd love to see you try, Elon. I really would, because, man, that would be the day. In the same way that you can't just take people and bring them here and then expect them to make the same society that made you successful. You can't make an AI build the same society, because it's this blank slatedness that you think, and you think programming an AI to make the society that you want, you're going to get terrible results.
Dimensions that are vectors, and what you get at the end of it is an article that can almost fool a computer into thinking it was written by a human. I think there's a game of musical chairs going on with money, and people are desperate for a way to keep that game of musical chairs going, even if it means fucking us over.
Exactly.
The idea that these these tech guys want to bring in exceptional people is just not true. They're looking to hire basically slaves who can't leave their company without leaving.
It's like I said, they can't leave because you've got them. We've done this before. I mean, the world, society, history has done this before. You take people and you put them at the barrel of a gun and you say, you're going to be a slave for me. You're going to do what I say. And if you don't do what I say, then I'm going to kill you. And if you don't do what I say, I'm going to stab you with the stick. And if you don't do what I say, I'm not going to sign that green card for you. That's how we're getting our slave labor today. It seems different. It seems that's better. But it's not. It's just a step above. It's just a step above being a slave. You're not getting good humane outcomes. When you threaten people and you bring them here under that threat and that pressure, you're not going to get people that are productive. They'll work just enough to where they can make it. The people here that live here want to do more than just make it.
In the country who will work for 50%. That's the other thing. They keep saying they'll work 80 hours a week, which is bullshit. Nobody works 80 hours a week.
This is another thing. I hate the glorification of the 80-hour-a-week work week. You know how much people can actually get done in 40 hours if the work is worth it? If the work isn't actually robotic, mindless drudgery and drone mentality? You know how much work they can get done? A lot. And they can do it for a wage that would be 80 hours. But you could pay them for 40 hours. But why is there this mentality that if I make someone work more hours, that means I get more productivity, so I should pay them per hour more rather than just paying them for what the work they do in a smaller amount of time? Then they can work on other projects. I don't get this mentality. It doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense to me.
A week. They work 20 hours a week of actual work, and the rest of the time is spent fucking around on the phone and showing the boss that they're working 80 hours a week, sitting in the office. They're not actually working 80 hours a week.
No.
And furthermore, why should an American...
It's true. And they're not working 80 hours a week. They're showing. They're showing off. They'll be like, hey, look at this work I'm doing over here. And if they're actually, working a job, they'll make it seem like they're working 80 hours a week. Because that's what the boss wants. Because that's the mentality that we have. And you're not going to get good outcomes or good results from that. You've got to inspire people more than just working hours, man. You got to do it. I'm sorry. Humans aren't built that way. We're not built to just work and 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 work. You want to get the most out of a human, you give them something to fight for. You give them a society. You give them a family. You give them a culture. You don't deprive them of those things. You give them those abilities. Because that's how you make them work. And they'll want to work 80 hours a week. Why? Because they've got a lot of investment in the culture. Investment in society. Investment in their family. Something that companies don't want to do anymore. Used to offer pensions. Don't do that anymore. Used to offer a lot of retirement bonuses. Don't do that anymore. Now it's, would you like a pizza party on your last day after working here for 30 years? Sure thing. We'll get you that. No problem. Ridiculous.
Why should anybody have to work 80 hours a week? Why is this a race to create slaves?
Yeah.
Why is that a good thing? Why is that a humane thing? Why
It's
is
not.
that good for
It's
humanity?
not.
How is it possible?
And it's
if
not.
you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're left or right,
It's not a good thing, and it's a bad thing, and it shouldn't be tolerated. What we should be doing is we should be calling our congressman, and we need to change the way work is. The way that we worked in the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s and the early 1900s is not the way that we should structure society. We've structured society and we've kept society in a way that is essentially stuck in time. Stuck in time in the way that we school people, in the way that we work people, in the way that we train people, and in the way that we expect work to be done. What we've done is we've taken a society of the 1900s, and now we've tried from the 1920s, and now we're trying to bring it into the 2020s. And it's just not the same. We've had 100 years to develop. We've had 100 years of experience of developmental, we've had changing attitudes. We have different modes and methods of getting these things done, and yet we still send our kids to school on yellow school buses that have been out there for 100 years in the same way as the Prussian school system, which was meant to designed and devised to make soldiers listen to orders, by the way, not to actually train them to think or to be productive, by the way. We have these work schedules where we punch in and punch on a clock, and that's what we think is the most productive and beneficial to society, a way that we did it in the 1900s and the 1800s is the optimal way to run a work culture. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And there are people that have made it so that's the only way things can be done, because things change. And there's no reason that things wouldn't change in 100 years. We would have developed a new technology, a new way of doing things, a new energy system, it just doesn't make sense. Humanity is in constant progress. We're not stuck doing the same thing that we're doing for hundreds of years. Not at this point. Not if you look back at how fast we've evolved since the 1700s. It doesn't make any sense. Moving on.
Why is it a good thing to want slaves? They'll work 100 hours a week. They'll work in their sleep. They'll work 200 hours a week. They'll work infinity.
This is exactly what I'm saying.
They'll have no lives.
Exactly what I'm saying.
That's not a good thing.
It's not. It's not a good thing. And the people that run society, the people that are in those positions that have made it this way, don't realize, or maybe that's their goal. I think their goal is to make people into slaves. I think that's always been the goal of those who run society, is to make those who don't run society be slaves for the people that run society, because that's just the easiest thing for them. Why have competition? Why actually compete? Why come up with new innovative ideas? Why benefit anyone else below your totem pole? Because it makes your life easy, and you don't want to take a chance. You don't want to step outside the box. You don't want to do any of those things. All you want to do is continue to do what you've always done, which is whip people and use them for your own means and purposes and ends. And that's inhumane. It's anti-human, and it's disgusting. And you absolutely deserve, again, scorn and perhaps being chased into the streets, but I don't know if we're there yet. Maybe I don't know. They're getting kind of close, but I hope not. No one wants that to happen, okay? No one desires for that to happen, because once that happens, there's just no going back. There's no turning the clock back on that kind of like, oh, we've taken this step. Okay? That means everything that we've known, all of history, American society, all those values, culture, all that, it's all gone once we step over that threshold. And hopefully we're going to realize and make lasting political change in a peaceful way before violence is the only way. And violence does become the answer at a certain point, because that's how history shows us that it becomes the answer. And it's not like anyone desires it. It's the only thing left. You give people no other options. That's how it goes. So you have to give people options. You have to let people work their lives and have meaningful lives and enjoy their lives. Otherwise, they're going to fight for a life that they think they should have. And you should be ready for the consequences when you don't give it to them.
You want more hours out of somebody, you have to pay them more. It's just money.
Yeah, it's just
They'll
money.
do it for 20,000. That's what they're saying. They're pretending like they're.
And it's just money. I just don't get it. Like, the bank, the Federal Reserve, prints money and devalues it and makes it worth less and less and less every single day, every single month, every single year. And man, it's just money. I mean, it's just dollar bills. It's paper currency, it has no value. It's fiat currency. What are you doing? Is this green piece of paper? Is this more? This is more than this? Than human beings? This worthless piece of paper has no value at all. Not backed by gold, not backed by silver, not backed by anything except the full faith and credit of the United States government. That's all it is. What happens when everyone loses faith in the United States government? All of that slavery that you've tried to achieve? Up in smoke. Gone with the wind. And you're still going to have your flesh and blood body here, wishing that you had treated your flesh and blood humans the same way that you're about to be treated, because they're going to eat you. They're going to eat you. Moving on.
They're complimenting their diligence and their work ethic. What they're really saying is we can hire them for cheaper. That's what that means. 80 hours a week or pay them 100,000 more a year. It's the same thing. They're just saying you can pay these people 150,000 instead of 400,000 or 80,000 instead of 250,000. It's just money. Any system that gets set up is going to be gamed. This one is gamed by Indians who are master gamers. Pull up the Cognizant article. This is a company that was found guilty of setting a pattern.
Yep, and I mean, I don't begrudge. Honestly, I really don't. I don't begrudge the Indians that come over here if that's the system. We've set up the system for them to be over here. That's how the system goes. That's why the system needs reform. And that's why Elon needed to be more specific and precise about what exactly winning is, what exactly reducing the abuse of the H1B system actually means. Does it mean importing more top talent? Because what does that mean? Have you tried to find that talent here? What is the criteria for that? It's not much, from what I've seen. So,
and practice of discrimination against non-South Asian and non-Indian workers. That's not the intention of the program. The intention of the program is to create a meritocracy. But like Thomas Sowell said, you have to judge things on their outcomes, not their intentions.
Yes.
You could make a law called the Everybody Good, Free Money, Everything Good law. But if the end result is that quality of life goes to shit, that's what you have to judge it on.
Exactly. And you look at acts and bills like the Patriot Act and all those things that have these titles like Inflation Reduction Act and things like that, and they do the opposite of the thing that they're named, and that's what government does constantly. They make these departments and bills and things that do the exact opposite of the things that they are trying to do or accomplish or get rid of or incentivize. It just you can't make something that is going to actually encourage something if what the meaning of it was meant to be anti, or if you're going to be encouraging of it, if it's going to be anti of it. You have to be clear on your policies. You have to be clear on your objectives. You have to be clear on your laws. And these laws are written in ways that are obviously meant to benefit companies and corporations that can read the laws and have the lawyers to read the laws that are not for the American people, because if the American people understood what the laws were, well, that might make them pretty upset now, wouldn't it? Can't have that.
And so this H1B stuff, you can't judge it on the floral, high-minded, beautiful, humanistic language that's used to sell it.
Picked up my worthless dollar bill.
You have to judge it on the end result. Here's another one. Hire workers at a fraction of the cost of American workers. Force them to work longer hours because they won't leave their job, because if they quit, they're gone from America. This is not helped by a government oversight committee or anything like that. It's just the case that when you set up a system that can be gamed, it gets gamed. That's how people work. They're looking for the path of least resistance.
Sure.
They're looking to maximize their benefit from the
We
system.
do all the time.
That's just human nature.
All the time.
Massive payouts over claims they discriminated against American workers in favor of foreign workers. Apple paid $25 million to the deal, which is like $25 to a regular person.
May as well.
Apple engaged in a pattern of citizenship status discrimination in recruitment.
Now, if you made them pay
positions.
$25 billion,
The
that might do
claim
something.
We can't find talented people here is nonsense. That's dishonest.
It is.
The claim should be that we can't afford to pay talented people enough.
We can't afford to.
But we don't want to.
Yeah.
Sorry for getting overly serious here with you. At the end of the day, I think you should buy Bitcoin. There's this tendency to want powerful people or people in a leadership position.
At this point,
you get emotional when their every worldview doesn't line up with yours. You know, Trump's not based enough, or Joe Rogan's too whatever. But these are the men who define our times. And I think it's important you allow them to be flawed people to some extent, but also to push back when they go nuts. But in this case, I think that, it's critically important. It's moist critically important. It's moist critical. This is the whole thing that Moist Critical says every time we talk to him. He put it all on the line to become the free speech guy and to turn Twitter into the global discussion space of the world. And you don't accidentally become adored by people. He can't just say, oh, I was just building a business and then I was saying stuff online and then I guess people looked up to me. No. There are plenty of quiet billionaires. There are plenty of quiet money makers, inventors. There are plenty of quiet engineers. There are plenty of people who aren't going to the Met Gala in the Satan costume. Okay? There are plenty of people like that. You don't accidentally become the
sitting on their yachts
of a nation.
Do whatever they want.
You don't accidentally become the hope of a generation. You don't. So if he wants that, I think he can have it, and I think he deserves a shot at course correction. He's been under attack by everybody for his whole entire career, so I think he deserves that shot. If he fumbles this, then that's his legacy. I don't have any sort of committed opinion as to what's going to happen from here. I'm mostly concerned with Asmongold, as we said. Moist Critical, what games are they playing? Tall Guy, what was that game we played? Tall Man Run, that's what I'll be doing tonight. A little bit of Raid Shadow Legends, is that the game? Last War Survivor, big into that these days. I'm mostly doing that. I'm Elon's #1 ranked Diablo 4, huge achievement. I'm #1 ranked Raid Shadow Legends. Raid what? Last Survivor? I'm #1 on that Last Survivor. Check me out on the boards there, guys, all right?
There it is.
Boom. Peace.
I don't know if that number is actually real or not.
It's Friday, January 3rd, 2000.
Oh, well, I got a news thing here. Anyway, well, that was pretty much the video, and I think the important thing to summarize is that it's not just the American experience that is in jeopardy here. America is the hope of the world, okay? Whether a lot of people want to admit that or not, we are the hope of the world. Now, we are the hope for the future of humanity. The world can exist as it always has, but where do you see innovation and striving for less slavery in the world? Less constant tyranny? Less censorship? Less authoritarianism? Less bad working environments, less communism. The only place you see all of those things and a desire for all of those things to be less, and a desire for human freedom and flourishing, an ability to succeed and achieve your dreams, which is the American dream, which is promised, is in the United States. And we don't get to become the United States by chance. We don't get to become the United States by chance. Let me see. I had a thing. Yeah, this one. And hold on. Where did it go? Yeah, there it is. No. We don't get to do that by chance. It's because there were things that happened and yeah. Okay. And it became to the point of we created a culture, we created a tradition, we created a story of ourselves and our lives and everything around us. And it became what the United States is. What the United States is, what the United States will be, what the United States can be, is based on the people that have been here. Based on the people that had a desire to dream and carve out and desire those things, not just to be worker bees. No one came to the United States and was like, you know what? I'm gonna work and 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 work until my bones are dust and have nothing to show for it. Because what's important is the Virginia Company's bottom line. Is that what you think? Is that what you think America was founded on? That's that why people came over here? Man. We would have never gotten this far. Would have never gotten this far. If that was the case. Wouldn't have happened. The Spaniards, the French, hell, anyone else could have come and taken over what we had and been just as fine. And no one would have been fought for the idea of what America is. No one would have thought that what we have achieved in the past 200, almost 225 years will have been possible. No one would have thought it. Our forefathers wouldn't have thought it. Abraham Lincoln would have thought it. No one in the 19th or 20th century would have thought it. If that was what we came here for. If we came here just to extract resources, if that was the sole purpose for all people coming over here. If that's what you told them, like, we're going over there to just extract the resources and send them back to Europe. And you're not gonna, you don't get to have a life. All your glory of your life is for the king. Glory of your life is for something that you are not a part of. That's what it's for. I refuse to accept that as what humanity is meant to achieve. And we're not going to reach the stars with that mentality either. If we're just interchangeable economic units, if we're just cogs on a wheel, cogs in a machine, then you can't expect the same desire of innovation, love, freedom, compassion for your fellow man. You can kiss it all goodbye. You can let Pandora's box open one more time and let hope escape. Because that's what America is. That's what we've always been. And it's not just hope for creating dollar bills. It's hope for true success, freedom, and flourishing. And again, those two things get conflated all the time, and it's not the case. It's not the case. Let me see if there's something on the news here. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's what I meant to do. Okay. And then just move that up there. All right, and then we just transition. There we go. Nice. So I saw this, and here's this tweet. This was an unironically lovely sentiment, responding to Neil deGrasse Tyson's "Universe doesn't care about your nihilism. God loves you, even if you're a Reddit atheist. The universe cares. That's why we're here." And I think that's a great thing. It's an awesome thing that it's true. And when you take a moment and you be silent and you look at your life and you look at everything around you and you see that you're still alive and you're still breathing and you're not working, you're not working in a ditch, you're not you're trying to better yourself. The world wants you to better yourself. The universe cares. That's why we're here. We're all just trying to make it. We're trying to do it as best we can possibly together. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about. Trying to care for ourselves. And it's not a racist thing. It's not a thing of exclusionism. We have to help ourselves first before you can help others. It's pretty simple, easy, understandable thing. Not hard to understand.